Hello everybody, it's nice to be back here in UK. Some of you may remember me from the last UKNOF in Manchester, where I also gave a presentation about BIRD configuration. For who doesn't, or who doesn't know me for any other reason, my name is Diego Neto. I'm a software engineer at NLX in charge for designing and implementing all the company network automation platform. So, as I was saying, a few months ago, we presented here our route configurator tool that actually essentially allowed our peering members to configure their peering sessions via a really friendly, easy-to-use web interface. And in the last 6 months, we kept working on it. We implemented a new bunch of security features, and the most important, as announced, we managed to release the core of our automation system, so all the parts of the automation implementing generic feature as open source under the name of BIRD-Stack. We actually released it a couple of days ago, and yeah, this is what we're going to talk about it today. Before we start talking about the core of BIRD-Stack, it's nice to take a step back and check the reasons why we did it. So as you probably know, having a route server is a really common practice to implementing and managing peering networks, but unfortunately, at least for the time being, it comes with few severe limitations that are not really encouraging people enjoying route servers project. So for us, the most important one was the fact that when you join a route server, usually there is no real or efficient way to decide who you want to peer or you don't want to peer not. You join the route server, you're going to peer with everybody. There are some filtering mechanisms you can use, communities, other things, but none of them is really efficient or really easy to use. On top of it, there is the fact that the route server management is still performed really in a really manual way. And manual means really time consuming for what is concerning the full time from when a customer requests a configuration modification to when the configuration gets actually deployed. And most important, it's pretty error prone as all the manual stuff. On the side, there is the fact that for what I could see, the route servers are often seen by organizations as kind of black boxes. They have no real idea what's going on inside them, how they are configured. So that in general in your life is not something inspiring trust in joining something. So as NLX, we decided to tackle these issues. We implemented the route server configurator, and we released the technology. That is called BIRD-Stack. So what's BIRD-Stack? BIRD-Stack is a framework for automatic BIRD configuration and management. It's important to notice that I did not write a tool or a software, but it's a framework. BIRD-Stack is not something you install somewhere, and after you install it, you just need to use it, and everybody can decide to start configuring route server as you want. No, BIRD-Stack is a framework that provides to network engineers, so for a person that knows what they are doing, a set of tools to automate the repetitive work, to work in a more efficient and relaxed way. As you can see, it's based on 2 parts. One is StackStorm, that is the core of the automation, and the second one is a web application called BIRD-Proxy that it needs to run directly on the route server machine. So let's start from StackStorm. Somebody knows StackStorm in the room? One? Yeah, okay, it's not a lot, but it's way better than last time. So for who doesn't, StackStorm is a complete generic automation product by Brocade. It's been bought by Brocade around 2 years ago. It's completely open source, and in NLX we choose it to make it the center of our automation platform. So it's running the all system orchestrations. Why we choose it? We choose it, first of all, for the way it's made. It runs on Linux, is implemented in Python, and Python is also the reference language you can use to program on top of it. These are all technologies that we really like within NLX. We are widely using them, so for us it was just a perfect fit. But most important is for what you can do with it. To begin, it's event-driven. It's not something sitting there doing some stuff sometimes just every day or like cyclically and periodically. It's a system able to perform complex operation in reaction to some specific events. This is what you need if you want to implement an interactive and efficient system. It allows you to define what needs to be executed using Python, so you can write things are called actions, and you implement them in Python, so you have the full power of Python to use. So you can do whatever you want. You can implement in which conditions these actions need to be run. You can stitch the actions together, creating workflows, and considering that StackStorm is also supporting Mistral, the workflow can be also pretty complex, as we have, with a lot of branches and conditions, and you can write YACL on it. They are really, really powerful. And also really important and really much appreciated by at least our NOC department is that, of course, when you have an automatic system, you, as a system administrator or network engineer, you still want to know what your automatic system is doing. So in this way, with StackStorm, you don't need to go and look into thousands of endless log to check what's wrong. You just connect to the web interface, and you have the full list of what has been executed. You have the green bullet for everything was good, the red bullet for everything was bad. You click on them, and you get the full internals of the execution, so input, output, all the variables. So it's really, really handy and really, really useful. The software gets distributed in plugins, so you have the platform, and on top of this, you put plugins. These plugins are called integration packs and are absolutely generic, so you can have specific plugins to some specific app or application, or you can create a context-based plugin. And most of them are already available online on a specific portal called exchange.stackstorm.com, where you have plugins virtually for everything. You have from switches to your Philips Hue light to your Tesla. Really, there is automation for really a lot of different things. For example, in LAX, we are using the Slack pack downloaded from the Exchange portal. It's integrated with the rest of the automation. Everything sending up on the network, I got a message on my phone informing me about what's going on, and that's really handy. The second part of BIRD-Stack is BIRD-Proxy. As I mentioned, it's a small web application that we implemented in-house. It's made with Python using Flask. And what it does, in the end of the story, is allowing you to control a BIRD server via HTTP. That's not possible at the moment. When you want to configure BIRD, you need to log in on the machine, open the console that is bind to Unix socket, and use it locally on the machine. With this, you can do kind of the same thing, but remotely. It's possible using a library that we implemented in-house. It's a completely generic Python library that it supports every kind of legal command. If you write something that is not legal, it throws an error. And this library is used within endpoints. So if tomorrow you want to implement a new remote functionality, you implement a new endpoint, you call the commands you want to run using the library, and you're ready to go. You just need to make an HTTP request against the URL you defined. So this is a tool, it's pretty handy, it's what you use to communicate with BIRD from StackStorm. So these were the two components. So we have StackStorm and BIRD-Proxy. Let's now take a look to the core. The core, as I mentioned before, is running on StackStorm. The software in StackStorm, it comes in automation packs. So what we did is actually realize an automation pack for StackStorm called BIRD. This pack exposes a set of actions and rules. The main ones are you have actions to generate new configuration, actually to automatically deploy configuration file on route servers. Then you have a set of actions to retrieve information from the prefix information from the network. To be specific, actually three. You have one action to retrieve prefix information from IRR DB database using BGPQ3. You have an action to retrieve fullbogons information. You have an action to retrieve drop list information. All this data, they get pulled out from the network, and they get stored into the StackStorm data store, and are stored there and are available for all the other actions or for any other application that is able to access to that store. So it can also be used kind of a library function. In kind of the same way, we also have actions to retrieve status information of the BIRD route server. So you can perform status requests to a route server, you get back the data, and okay, you can see them, but it's really nice if you can take this data and maybe you can trigger specific workflows when something happens, when a value goes over a certain threshold or something goes down. you can realize it and immediately take action. These were the actions, are the basic bricks offered by the BIRD pack. Of course, this actually translates into configuration features. First of all, it's important to say that we are using a complete custom template engine. What I mean with complete custom, I mean that your configuration and the features and the behavior you want your server to have are not built using just patching together pieces of hard-coded templates that somebody else decided to put in the software, and if you want to modify it, good luck with it. You do need to write your own template, but in this way, you can have your configuration. You have all the features implemented in the way you want. And to implement them, you have all the data that the BIRD-Stack engine gives you, as I'm going to show you in a bit. With being the template completely custom, you can just implement everything in the template. BIRD-Stack already gives you some hooks and values that you can use to implement some features like filtering and prepend support for your prefixes, white or black listing for members, according to which policy you are using, IRR DB prefix filtering, drop list filtering, and fullbogons filtering using the information pulled from the network with the actions I mentioned you before. So with this approach, the configuration starts from the configuration template. There is just a plain text file using Jinja 2, and you don't have to be a Jinja expert to use it. It's just some replacement. You just need to know the basic control structures. Every person that works in IT can get all the knowledge he needs to write a BIRD configuration with Jinja in 15 minutes. Of course, being a template, you have to use placeholder in it, and you can use placeholder coming where the information that will be replaced, they are coming from different sources. First of all, you have the static data. The static data are stored in the BIRD configuration file, in the BIRD pack configuration file. Just for your understanding, each pack should have a configuration file, and you can use this file to store all the values you want. We are using a specific section of this file to store all the information that belongs to you, you as organization managing the route servers, information that doesn't change every day, are your company name, your AS number, your prim prefix. This information, you store it there and are all accessible from the templating engine. This means that in the file, you create a new parameter called AS number. In your template, you can use the placeholder AS number is going to be replaced, like as simple as that. On the side of this static information, there are the dynamic one. The dynamic one are dynamic because they don't depend just from you as route server maintainer. They are information about your peers, are the sessions you want to activate, are the configuration that your customers want to have for this, for their specific session. These information are available, are actually coming into the system as an input parameter for the generation action, and they are parsed by the engine. All of them, they are available into the template engine under specific placeholder that are at the moment documented. So this creates your basic configuration, plus if you want to implement security features, as I was saying before, you are available prefix information, so all the prefixes advertised and registered on the RIPE database for all your peers, drop list, and fullbogons. This information they go into the generation algorithm that as an output gives you a BIRD configuration file. The file gets stored locally in the directory where you prefer. So this action is completely atomic. It starts from an input. As an output, it gives you a BIRD configuration file. You're free to do with it whatever you prefer. In case you also want to deploy it, there is another action called deploy config. And it's actually a simple deployment action. So it takes a file with the only requirement that the file needs to be locally stored on the StackStorm machine. So the file can be generated by a script, by hand, by BIRD-Stack. Doesn't matter. Just the file needs to be there. The file gets sent via HTTP against a BIRD-Proxy endpoint running on the route server. And when the file is received, it gets validated using the complete standard BIRD validation tool. If the validation is okay, it gets deployed, and it returns back a message to BIRD-Proxy, to StackStorm, telling him what was the outcome of the operation, like as simple as that. This is how BirdStack is working, essentially. You will say, okay, you gave us all this set of tools, but what we can do with it? You told us you have actions, you have functions, but you can do several things. You can go for the more simple one. For example, you just decide to have your StackStorm there and use the software just to run some action like in a scripty-like way. It's a bit overkill, but you can do it. You can decide if you are working in an automated infrastructure to have your to deploy StackStorm as your automation orchestrator and use this pack together with other packs building workflows that are using the rest of the content and the action provided by BirdStack together with others. Or you can do more complex things, as for example we did in NLX. You can write a nice software layer in front of it and build a nice web application for it. So as an example, I'm really happy to show you the new NLX route server configurator with the enhanced version with the new features. That's really a preview. It's been released probably an hour ago, if they finished. And it's going to be announced officially in 2 days. So you're the very first person in seeing it. And what you can do with it. First of all, you have available all the BirdStack functionalities. So security features, all the things I showed you before. Plus, you have geo-based filtering, so you can filter members based on where they are connecting. You can filter people by latency. So NLX has a big distributed network all around Europe, so we have latency problem. In this way, you can just decide to filter members based on how far away they are, latency-wise. And that's pretty convenient. It's been really appreciated by our members. You can do filtering based on who is registered or not on PeeringDB. That's not an hard feature, but it's good to have the information about it, because yeah, you may don't want to trust who is not registered on PeeringDB. And plus, it provides you some real-time information about the status of the route server. That's really nice because it gives you an overview about what's going on. And it actually looks like that. I have a small, like a short video that I prepared because the demo was not really possible. Yeah, we can play it. So as you can see, from the left side, there's still the map with all our locations. On the right side, you have the list of our active peering sessions with all their data, name, IP address, data center where they are connecting. And the nice thing that you can see that now, for each session, you can check the status. There are all the little like green dots, like here, that they show you in which status the sessions are. Plus, on the side, you have the number of prefixes they are advertising. So you can already have an idea about which changes, what will happen on the network given according to what you're going to select or not. You also have the PeeringDB logos on the side of all the members that are registered to it, so you have this information and you can use it if you want. And what's most important, I'm sorry, just to pause the video for a second because I want to spend some extra words. You have this special session here. This is the big news of the overall server configurator. It enables you to activate or deactivate security features. So you have the RFC bogons that is always activated because, as I was mentioning before, this is just implemented in the template. It's just coded into the template. We always want to be active, so we made it that way. And then you have the selected boxes to apply filtering against the RIPE database in this case. So the IRR database, we are using RIPE. Fullbogons filtering, where the information are coming from Team Camry. And drop list filtering, where the information are coming from SpamHouse. All of them, they are selectable. You can decide as a user if you want to enable or not, because you may want to have all the traffic for testing purposes or for other reasons. For the rest, everything is the same. Yeah, I think the video just got back. Just can you just move at half in the bar? Like, yeah, that will be fun. Okay, yeah. Yeah, more kind of. You still have filtering and prepending. You can see here, you have your port selections, and then once you select your port, you can use a slider to unselect all the locations that are more far away. In this case, I put it at 2, so you can see all the locations got unselected, and after it, you can still decide to re-enable location that has been filtered out due to the latency. When you're done with your geolocalized selection, you can make a review of the list, because maybe there are still some members that you don't want to pair with, so you can unselect them explicitly. And after that, you just need to click on the apply button, and your configuration get generated and deployed within a couple of seconds, probably. And I think that's pretty nice. So that was the new NLX route server configurator with the security features. That was BirdStack. Still have a couple of important things to say. As I mentioned, BirdStack, it's open source. So we released the code. You can find on our Git or our NLX GitHub account under the name of BirdStack. It's still in the dev branch because there's a couple of things that I want to fix, I want to work on, hopefully with the help of somebody. But the solution is stable and is solid. Plus, I want to write an extensive documentation. I had the time to write some in the READMEs, so the basic to be used, but I really want to write a nice documentation to it. In case you decide to join the project, there is we're collaborating with Brocade on that, so they created for us a dedicated channel in their Slack community team. You can join it, you can join discussion there. For any other information, for whoever wants to jump on the project, wants to know something more about it, want to help me in doing it, you can just drop me an email on my email address, or look for me online with my nickname, or for any other information about NLX peering or our route server configurator, just drop an email to our generic email address, nlx@nlx.net. That was it from me. It was a lot of stuff, so I hope I did not rush too much. So now I will be, if we still have some time, I will be really happy to answer to all your questions now.
Okay, we have got time for questions. Any questions?
No?
Or is everybody bursting to get to coffee?
That's what happens after you have coffee.
I have nothing to ask you because I already asked you the question I wanted to ask you before when you were in Manchester, when you were talking about the overall idea of this and not going into the detail. Thank you for coming back and talking about the detail and what's going on under the hood. Great that stuff's going into open source so that other people can benefit from it as well.